Yo, what's poppin', all my wrestling peeps? It's your host of the most, Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts here, not with Pitts and Sara's wrestling show. We have some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Vince McMahon has been unanimously voted back as the chairman of the board. And then on top of that, which is why we are hopping in the booth, is not only that, Stephanie McMahon has resigned from all her positions at WWE, including co-CEO position. Sara, I'm just gonna let you start this one off because then that news alone, that's a lot to process in a 24-hour span.
It's possibly going to get worse because all of the dirt sheets and stuff and wrestling insiders are saying that there's probably going to be monster news imminent, is what Brian Alvarez is saying. So,
But how much worse can we have already got?
I don't know. I'm just hoping that it's not something with like Triple H. That's what I'm kind of nervous about.
Oh, like that he's involved with something?
Yeah, that like he's leaving or I don't know, something.
Okay. So that's okay. I will say this before you continue is that I do not believe that Vince coming back to WWE is a bad thing when it comes to creative. There had to have been a conversation for Triple H, Paul, the person, to have got the position that he's in right now. There had to be a conversation where, and you see the success that it's brought, the ratings, everything. In that circumstance, they're not going to allow Vince to be back in creative.
I don't think you
However,
understand the power. The
no,
reason why
that's
he's
what.
even back is because he manipulated the whole thing so that he could get back, despite the entire board saying, we don't want you back. He
But
fired people, brought in people who were yes men so that he could get the majority so that he could be brought back. So I'm saying, like, I mean, his own daughter left.
that's what I was gonna
I
say. Is
think,
that like
yeah.
that's why
So
I'm really getting into the like. Okay, Stephanie's leaving. I will say she did return right at the start of this, like when the
yeah,
whole Vince news was. She returned because she felt she had to, whatever the case was. But she was not like there throughout. She did take a time off, so my brain is starting to think, could this be her trying to kind of separate herself from this entire thing and just see who Stephanie McMahon is outside of the world of wrestling?
I mean, maybe. I just feel like, um, okay, wait, hold on. So one of the hot rumors is that Saudi buyers are interested in WWE. This is from Sean Ross Saab. He said, I've gained no actual information thus far to indicate this is actually happening outside of a few vague hinting messages from people outside WWE. WWE contacts claim to not know what the hints were about. Can you imagine if they let Saudi Arabia buy something in Saudi buy them? Like
Oh,
what? You
no,
as
that's
if
why
that's
he's
not.
back.
No, he wants to sell the company. That
I
was why people
know.
said, but I'm saying letting a Saudi company buy it is not good for like
Well,
I don't know. I feel
it's
like
the
that's
live.
the it's
It's the
like
live
just
tour.
I don't know what that means.
Golf. It's the PGA's competition. Like the PGA being WWF in the 90s, Live is WCW Nitro, where they legitimately have the Saudi Arabia government backing it, and it's a blank checkbook, just like WCW with Ted Turner.
No, I just feel like it's not the best idea when they're already being threatened with lawsuits because of Vince being back. So then
Oh,
you're
I
like,
1,000% agree with that. I am now just putting 1, 2, and 3 together to make 6. So like that's why I feel like he's back, is because Saudi is making a push. However, from what I've seen too, is that a lot of different companies are, potential buyers of his share, I would think. So, I mean, it's like Disney Plus, NBC Universal, which essentially is Peacock. I think I saw Paramount in there too. That if that's where they're going, then him just being on there is just they want him on it. Whoever is buying the company wants Vince McMahon on it because he founded the company. That's where I think this ship is going. I don't think he is. I don't think he wants anything at this point. It's not about creative. It's all about the
Well,
business side
but the
of
problem is
things.
why would he force himself to be the chairman of the board? Why would he force himself back there? Because he didn't need to have all of these fancy titles attached to his name to
Because
sell the company. Not to mention, they already told him that they didn't want him back. And his response was, if you don't let me back, I'm not going to sign any additional media deals. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it seems like there's
so
something weird going on. And it's hard to imagine that he just came back and they already struck a deal to sell the company. I feel like that
yeah, that's
seems
that would be they
that
needed.
doesn't but that doesn't happen in mere hours. Like, this is something that he would have had to be working on when he wasn't with the company. Like, that makes no sense at all. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's
I,
like this all isn't adding up. But
there
anyway,
was definitely, yeah.
getting
You
to the
speak.
Stephanie news.
Yes.
um oh my god, apparently everyone's reacting like there's something bad gonna happen. Like,
Well,
this is so
what else
I don't
could have happened
I
at
don't
this
know.
point?
Did anyone predict that Stephanie was going to be resigning today? So, like, what could be worse? Like, Denise Salcedo is saying the rumors I'm hearing, again, rumors, I have no words, but bruh is what she's saying. So it's like, if that's what it is, like, God, and everyone is subtweeting. That's the thing. Just like put the rumors out there then. Stop subtweeting and then having everyone guess what you're talking about.
Because no
Like,
one
that's
wants
an
their credibility. They
stop
don't want
it.
to put the rumor out and then just get like attacked. Someone's got to be the guinea pig in this and just float it
No,
out.
I,
And
I
no one
just
wants to
keep
be that rumor.
checking everywhere, but it's like,
That's so
I just think that
brutal.
it's kind of ridiculous because you could drop a bomb and it would go viral and you'd get just as much of much attention as you would be with all of these like tweets that are like, "Oh, I know what I've heard the rumors. I know what's being said, but I can't share it yet." It's just like,
I
okay.
I just I my biggest concern is like what does this mean for like the shows going forward? The business side, like to be honest, we shouldn't know how much goes on with the business side of things, and we know. So the fact that we do is like, all right, day-to-day stuff. I know this sounds kind of like narrow-minded in a way, but like the at some point Vince needed to just get rid of his shares. So I see what's happening is all they're doing is getting Vince on to sign the deal so that he can take a majority of the cash and then he'll go away and then they'll like work with him on the side to make sure
I think
everything's
that's
good.
wishful thinking
I don't
because there's
I
been
just
so many rumors about him possibly trying to make himself in control again. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a reason why there were all these reports that were coming out after the Stephanie resignation saying that we're hearing Triple H is still in charge. Like, I mean, that's because everyone's original thought that was. And now if people are reacting this way, I feel like the way that people are subtweeting about this news, it seems like wouldn't be in reaction to them selling to a Saudi Arabian company. Like, I
no
don't
no no
what
no.
so it seems like
It's
something
more
worse than
about
that.
him.
But
It's
I
more
feel
about
like the
Vince.
only way that Triple H would be out is if they fired him. There's no way in my mind that he would ever just walk away after Stephanie leaves. Like, I don't see that
It's all
happening.
absolutely bananas
I
that
just
this
think
is
it's
just
ridiculous, but I predicted this. I told you. I said this on the podcast a week ago or whatever it was, whenever this originally was happening or rumored to be happening, that I would not be at all surprised to see Vince try to like burn the company down because he's that much of a maniac and vengeful person. I mean, he's fought with his children. Like,
yeah. Like
he's not spoken to Shane for years before, and it's possible that's going in the same direction now with Stephanie. So it's like he doesn't care because he just wants the money. As if $2.8 billion estimate of what his worth is not enough. You need to get
it's
more.
yeah, it's ridiculous. The way I see it is like my whole point when I first heard the news and then we decided what we were doing tonight um is like the only comparison I can make to this for make like is that I compare my there are a lot of similarities between my dad and Vinnie Mac in the sense that they started something, built it from the ground up, and then worked their ass off it's still out of family, whatnot. And they just worked, that's their only mindset. But when it comes to retirement, it was actually they retired the same month, I think the week two. My dad is part time still. He still goes there and still works and does his hours, but instead of saying, what, I'm gonna stay that extra shift or whatnot, it's like, no, I come home and do family time, whatever. And that's, I think, how a nice transition into retirement should be. And it just that's not happening there. It's not happening here with Vince and this. It's not like he's coming back and just like, I just see how things are and everyone's there and everything's good. Like they legitimately reported the energy shifted in the locker room as soon as Triple H took over. That's what at this point when I read all this shit, like I just ask myself, what is the fucking point of you? Like, what is
But
the
then you have
point?
to think about it though. You have to, and I know that it's difficult because like I'm not saying that I can relate to Vince in any sort of way, the way that he treats people or lives his life or anything. Obviously, I cannot relate. But I always try to figure out why people do what they do. And if we've ever if we, see things from how billionaires behave, 99% of the time, it's always about them. Everything is about them. They only think about them. And if they can get more money or they can get more fame, notoriety, whatever. So I think that he's coming into this situation. He doesn't care that the company's doing well because he would have said that the company was doing well when he was around, which it was. I mean, people were complaining, but was it losing money? No. Was it losing viewership? Not really. Were they still like filling seats at arenas and at pay-per-views? Yeah. I mean, like, so to him, that's going to be a success. They were selling merch, they were doing overseas tours. It wasn't a drastic shift in money coming in. So it's like, I like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to do something that he wanted to do. And if it impacted the company negatively, he wouldn't care because as long as he had the control or the power or the money or whatever, then it doesn't matter because that's what he wants at the end of the day. I mean, that's the only type of person that could ruin relationships with their own family.
It's
Um,
insane. It's
that
absolutely
never
insane.
did anything to him but support him and love him. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I just think he's just a very selfish person. So I honestly I don't know, and I don't know how well um hearing all of these things about how well the company was doing or how the talent was feeling, blah blah blah. I don't know how well that would sit with him either. Like how much would he enjoy hearing that people were thriving at his former workplace because he was gone? Like, I don't know that that's something that most people would take lightly. They would
No, he
probably
would
be
not
slightly
take that
offended.
lightly, and that's what. Yeah, and that's what
But
it's.
this
It's
is
legitimately.
but and that's the problem is too is like what you've alluded to is that depending on what his role becomes, because if he really is just like coming back because he wants to sell the company and be over it, fine, that's fine. If that's what you want to
That's what.
do,
There it
that's
is.
fine.
Yes,
As long as you're putting it in the right hands of the right people and it's not going to drastically impact the product that we are seeing that everyone is loving right now. That's fine. Whatever.
exactly.
If that's what you want to do, whatever. But depending on how his role expands, if it does, I mean, we're going to see a bunch of Tony Storms happen where it's just going to be a bunch of people are just not going to show up to work because why would they? They left the company originally because they either didn't want to work with Vince McMahon and they didn't want to re-sign a contract. They were fired by Vince McMahon, which they shouldn't have been, Bray Wyatt. And it's like, what would be the point of them staying if then he somehow takes over creative control again? I mean, and now they don't have their crutch in Stephanie because Stephanie kind of was like the middleman between them where they felt more comfortable speaking to her. And now that she's gone, well, I mean, I can't imagine that would go over well. And so I don't think that he's considering any of this, honestly, because as I said, he is the type that only thinks of himself. So
We'll
it's
have to
just
see.
it's just unfortunate because like obviously all of our minds are going all over the place, thinking of the worst possible scenarios and you know, we were talking about it when we were texting about it, that it could possibly get to that point where we're not really interested in watching the product anymore. Like, I'm prepared to like give it up if it becomes like Vince's baby again, where he's controlling everything and anything and is so out of touch with who's watching his product. I'm not going to watch it anymore. Like, it would suck, especially because, you know, I've put so many years into being a fan and, you know,
You're
caring
just
about
on
like
strike. You would just
it
be
would.
on strike.
Well, for the yeah, but I mean, he's only 77. People didn't think that he was going to retire ever. They thought he was going to literally die in his office. So it's like,
That's what maybe
I,
he wants to do at this point.
but then how we can't expect that to happen in 3 years. It could be 30 years until he dies. And you know, those types of people who are like evil and whatever, they always live a long time. They don't die young.
Yeah,
So
I don't. Well, I'm gonna react opposite to
no,
how I.
that's how you deal with things though.
That's what I
So
have to. That's how I have
I
to
know.
deal with this, because if I'm negative, it's just gonna be terrible. So I'm
Well, and
just like, all
that's
right. So I'm my gut, and I'm putting out to the universe is that this is just for business. This is
mhm,
just for behind the curtain type of work. Okay, this is not a work. Okay, if we bringing it back into wrestling jargon, if that's the case, and her just leaving because it may not be what she wants to do right now, and it's her decision, and that's my thought process with it. And Triple H is still in charge. Nick Khan's still in charge. The good people are still in charge, and we saw with this shit already kind of happening in waves. The product didn't dilute. Raw was a great show. Raw was a great show last night. So in my mind, I'm just gonna keep going like we're good, okay? Because that's all you can right now as a brave wrestling fan.
mm, okay. I'll try to get there with you.
All right. Well, we all we can do is try.
Mhm.